Remember Peanut?
Huh?
The guy they called Peanut? He was a cop.
I didn't know they called him Peanut.
Yeah, this other guy.
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
There we go.
Go on.
See, you're on the right today.
Yep.
But this is Kaz Kwiatkowski, City Councilman, and
Ron Stemka.
where you been?
I haven't been feeling good.
Been relaxing? Been a great holiday, huh? Well, we're back though. But actually, we got some. Gentleman asked me a few weeks ago about recycling.
Right.
Yeah, it is the law. Has been since.
Yeah, but like the guy said, he sorts the stuff out in front of his house, and the truck comes, and he just throws everything in the same truck.
I got to make a phone call to this because things changed the last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, in front of my house, it's been one pickup for everything.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. When I was telling everybody, I was getting 2 trucks, and I was. All of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if it's new employees or what, but I know that my bags are separate, in the last 2 weeks, the first truck has picked them both up. So the second truck comes, and I don't know if it's an education process, if something's not right though, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
In Mill Creek,
Waste
Management, they have 2 sides that they do that on.
But there is a law since 1990 that in cities of our size, we must recycle.
Oh. People have been calling up and telling me 10-minute time limit. Sometimes you got.
Well, guess what? I should have brought my egg timer. You're the timer, okay?
Okay.
That's what I got you here for. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz, what they do is there are some places where there's not much garbage, not a lot of houses, so they pack all the garbage in the truck, and then they take it to a drop-off point where they separate it out. Like cul-de-sacs, not many houses where there's only houses on one side of the street, where there's not much garbage.
Yeah, but I live on, it's no secret, I live up on the Upper East Side by Stanley, and we've always had 2 trucks,
We do too, but maybe there wasn't that much garbage on the street, so they just loaded it in and took it to the drop-off point.
Well, when they do that, they probably, I'm going to tell them they need to do an education on that, because a lot of people are calling me and they're getting frustrated and say, why should I go through it all? So I think maybe somebody's got to explain that, at least on TV, let the press in on it or some, because otherwise a lot of people are thinking, why should I go through it? I buy the bags, I do this, and then I watch that. And I got to be truthful, it happened to me, and that's like not normal for my block, so I'm glad you told me that, but...
No, I know they do that in a lot of places where the narrow streets and that where get down, and places where there aren't a lot of houses, they just load it on, they have a drop-off point where they separate it out.
Well, I was talking with Sarah, and she told me that, they will do that on one-way streets where, it's a little tough, it's easier to send one truck in, and then what they would do is they would take the garbage and drop it off at the end of the street or something, bring it back. But on my street, it just doesn't seem like, last 2 weeks has been pretty heavy because of Christmas and the holidays. But no, I'm going to ask about it because I was curious. And if that's the case, I think they need to do an education process, because a lot of people are thinking it's not worth it to them to do that because they watch them, they go through all that work and then they throw in the same truck.
Don't they?
I know they do it in a lot of places because, there's not a lot of garbage on the street, 4 or 5 houses.
Yeah.
And they drop it off to a certain point.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask, because I'm glad you brought it up to me. I'll ask them if that's the case, then,
Yeah, okay.
at least let us in there so we can educate people that, that they are doing it.
Sure.
Hey, thank you for calling.
Right, bye.
Didn't they on 14th and Raspberry, wasn't there a place where they transferred and they divided stuff?
I know there's...
On 14th, I think it is.
There's a couple of transfer stations.
Right there, where you go to turn to go
Yeah, our
towards the
guys don't
forge.
take our trucks out to, they move it onto bigger trucks like. Go ahead, caller.
I got a couple of quick things. I missed you last week.
I wanted to report that Sarah told me, you're the gentleman, remember you call up about all those trees on 38th Street?
And I was going to question that.
Yeah, they took them all down because they were in terrible shape, dying, a lot of them.
Terrible shape. There was a bunch of that were in terrible shape, but they weren't all in terrible shape. And why did they leave the one up with the cross on it where the person got killed?
They'll probably take that down in a little while, I think.
Well, I was going to ask you, are they going to be removing those boulevards? That is why I think the trees came down.
Well, that's up to...
Well, that's when the state are going to do the refinishing, and I bet you dollars to donuts those boulevards are coming out.
I doubt it, John, but I will ask...
I don't doubt it.
Well, you're pretty good about getting tips, but I haven't even heard that one being...
Where they're going to do from State Street to McClellan?
Well, I mean, we know they're going to... In 2 years, they're going to repave Pine Avenue. I know that they're studying the 38th Street corridor. That we knew.
Studied that. They've got the plans. They've got the widening. They're going to have the new traffic lights in. They're going to be synchronized, and nobody down in City Hall knows what's going on.
Well, that's apparent because when I talked to Sarah, I just got off the phone with her, they're talking about replanting trees.
Well,
so, I mean, if that's the case, John, maybe somebody doesn't know what's going on. I mean, well, first of all, nobody knows for sure what the state's up to. But how much would they gain by taking out the boulevard, really?
Well, they wouldn't gain anything, but you wouldn't have people running over and flipping and killing people.
But I'll tell you what, I'll check into that. Because, if there is a study, I mean, it's no big secret.
Well, they've already done, the surveyors have already been in, they've marked it, they've got the traffic pattern planned and everything else.
Well, they could narrow them too, John, but I mean, I do know that, we have a couple intersections we want studied.
Well, I think that's in the works. You want Pine Avenue and French Street, and that should come automatically. They've had the counters out already.
Yeah, but you know what? Every time they did that study, they told Councilman Mirsky and me that past studies showed it wasn't needed. And I go, you got to be kidding.
Well,
when did you do this study? I mean, you and I both know, John, there's a big difference between doing that study and
there's no doubt about it.
When you do it with the kids are back, or in the summer when you got tours and added pressure on the road.
Well, I'll tell you, I quit using PNC Bank up there now. I go up the upper lower summit there.
I don't blame you. Hey, I tell you what, that nightmare, and I'm not blaming CVS, but the nightmare that exists there with how they have that intersection.
Oh, that's murder to even get into CVS.
And then I saw a lady the other day, I don't know how the guy didn't hit her. She just decided to make a left turn, and I'm thinking that's why we do need arrows up there.
Right.
And people that are, the big common one is if you're heading east and somebody's heading west on 38th, the car heading west will always, if he's going to head south on Pine Avenue, he's going to take one shot.
That's true.
And somebody's going to get killed up there.
A murderous intersection. The wood from that taking it down. Who took the wood?
The streets department took some of them down.
I know I saw them up there doing a lot of the work. I was just curious, at $200 a cord for the wood, there must have been about 10 cord of wood in that area.
Was that really that good a wood or what?
Well, sure, it was all hickory and oak. That's good burning wood.
I'll ask Sarah. Well, I got Sarah on the phone before I came down here.
No, you're lucky.
Well, she's busy. I mean, but she did tell me. She said they're studying whether they want to put trees in there and to what level, because trees on boulevards and parking lots don't have a good shelf life.
Well, that's because of the way people are hauling their snow, the salt going into that and everything else. But, going to another subject here real quick, and then I'll buzz off and answer back.
But I'm gonna check on your thing, John, okay?
Right. But the whole thing here is I read in the newspaper where Bob Mursky, as being council president, his first priority, now he said his first priority, even on the news, was upgrading the parking meters. What the hell is wrong with this? Upgrading the parking meters is his first priority? I don't think so. I mean, I'm a taxpayer. My priorities are roads, getting nonprofits to pay, getting revenue in, not doing the parking authority's job.
Well, the parking authority, they have to get permission from us to do something.
Get permission from you to
But I agree with you. I think the biggest issue right now
paying for them
is, to me, the biggest issue in the city right now is what's three things, and they all tie together. It's the financial shape due to the
revenue,
lack of revenue, and then you got the declining housing stock, which is looking like crap, and then you got crime, and you look at all three of them, and they're not a barometer for anybody wanting to come here.
True.
So I mean, yeah, that to me, I mean, the consultant's pretty much telling you that.
But did you hear him make the statement parking meters was his first priority? Did you hear it on TV and in the newspaper?
First, I don't read the newspaper.
Well, did you hear it on TV?
I try not to watch too much TV.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It seems like, in this humble councilman's opinion, they sure don't question every councilman, and they're driving their own opinions on what they think is important.
True. Like I say, that to me, that was a laugh.
I spent 3 days watching them talk about the people clearing sidewalks.
Yeah.
And they probably haven't issued one citation in
20 years.
Right. And you got every old person in the city shaking in their boots.
When I hear that.
And who's shoveling their walk? Some of the elderly.
That's right. Us elderly are out there staying on top of it.
Right, but they're all scared we're going to arrest them,
Have your businesses ignoring it.
Right, and these people are worried about getting arrested. And then what was on the other day that was funny? It was comical. It was... we're spending days and, discussing the same issues. I'm going, this is not, what does the news come to? There's better issues.
Well, it's just as bad as you getting the weather 5 times and within an hour on a newscast. But the whole thing there is your code enforcement down there, they're lacking their responsibility.
I agree with you. I've never been so disappointed, but, you ride around town and you got to be complaint driven, and God, I'm looking at some of the stuff that's out there.
Well, I'll talk to you later if nobody calls in.
Okay.
Maybe I can rock the boat a little further. Come on, people, call in. Ray's house.
Ronnie was ready to cut you off for a minute. He's got the clock in his head.
I've been there for 4 weeks squawking about the water department, so we don't have to listen to that. Have a great day.
Okay.
Well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. But that's another issue.
No, you're...
But the county council, how hard did they try to keep GE and a lot of the old Aerosmith plant, Zern? What did they try to get? They didn't even go after them, did they? I don't know. Anybody out there know? What could they have done to try and to keep the work here?
Here's the thing. We got agencies that are supposed to do this. Okay? Most councils aren't aware, and I'm not defending them or us. We'll get back to that, okay? Most councils don't know the intricacies of that. That's why you have these people that are supposed to be the experts that keep you advised on that.
Well, I'll tell you what,
what do we hear about? We hear about, They're there at the ribbon cuttings and all that, right?
But they ain't there when they're shutting the joint down.
No, they should be conversing with these managers.
Did you see that town that they moved to in Texas? City council gave them $10 million to make that transit tester. $10 million. The city council did that. They gave it to GE to build that. Now, why couldn't Erie or the state try to get this?
Well, now you got the problem, Ron. If you go to North Carolina,
the right to work site.
Well, I'm not even looking at that, but if you go to North Carolina, when they were intent upon stealing our business, which they did, they put a lot of stuff in place, tax incentives. So what happens is, remember this, Ron, if you take from this hand, okay, this hand's got to give more. So, somebody has to give. In Carolina, let's say, they make it very easy for companies to do business there. But somewhere down the line, somebody has to pay. Like I noticed in Virginia, we don't pay, what do you call it? Trying to think if I'm going to use the right term. We pay a sales tax on our car, okay? But we don't pay a property tax on our vehicle.
In North Carolina, instead of charging you home taxes,
they pay a property tax.
They take a tax every year that the value of your car is.
Right. So
like here, you pay the value of the car when you first buy it, and you're done.
But also, here's where they get you too. You pay every year on your car, right?
Registration.
Down there, you pay on.
Yeah, that's instead of home tax, they pay you every year.
But here's what they get you on. Now, when you go, and it adds up. This is what they're talking about in Pennsylvania about tax reform. You go down there and you go shopping. You pay tax on clothing. Okay, so before you think about how that affects you, it all affects you.
Like Pennsylvania, Erie, these Canadians come here by the groves, busload after busload, because we're only paying a 6% tax.
But a woman told me this that runs a restaurant. Think of the Canadians' income. Okay, now you have to look at the mall. If you think the mall area was built for Erie,
no,
anybody that thinks that is mistaken. Okay, if anything would happen, if the state would change their taxation and tax clothing and other stuff, because you do pay tax on prepared food,
right?
But right now I can remember when the Canadians come to where I used to work. A retail's. A store where I was the accountant at, and they bought off us because it was cheaper. They could come in and buy big items, take it back, pay the whatever tax they had to pay back there, crossing the border tax, and then they still were better off. So we got to look at, yes, that happens that way, but if the state wants to change, they'll have to get the taxes from somewhere.
Yeah, but see, in Canada, what's the Canadian dollar compared to the American? Like 70 cents on the dollar?
It was closer than that for a while.
30 cents on the dollar.
No, last time I looked, the Canadian dollar was actually ahead of us too. So it was upper 80s and 90 cents of our.
That's a lot.
But still, when they look at us, they look at the tax situation. We make out up there on
how can we change that hotel tax? How much you say we had in there, the county?
The last time what was it? It
was a crazy amount.
70 million, was it?
70 million. What's that just sitting there?
Huh?
That just sitting there. And no one seems to be using it. County has, 31 million in surplus? The milk.
Yeah, but they use that money for.
They could have $3 million, and they could have.
I don't think that tax is sitting there. I think it's used for. It funds the chamber, and it also funds, I think, the debt of the hotels.
How much has Sheridan paid so far in debt? I don't think they paid anything yet on their debt.
I honestly don't know the breakup of that, but we were told that they don't pay any taxes, real estate.
Right.
Because the Civic Center owns a building.
Yeah, but that was supposed to be a 10 years.
No, I think that you're talking about something different. I think they are off the tax rolls because they are a county building. But that'll be interesting. What we should do is
You should get somebody.
I'm going to have to ask Sue DeVecchio about that. But my understanding was when we checked into that, the building itself was viewed as a county building. For instance, Civic Center will never pay taxes.
No.
Okay? And what you're talking about is like Erie Insurance. When they build, they get a LERTA or a KOZ or whatever it was in the old days.
Now, didn't they, LECOM, they just turned them down for tax-free.
Out in Mill Creek.
Right, the nursing home.
But Erie Insurance is challenging their ruling in the city.
Mm-hmm.
That's done over to county because they have that committee that represents that board.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, you're talking about, yeah, there's incentives. Homeowners got that too. For some things you get like, you had 10 years for a while there, but you pay taxes. But I don't think the hotels will ever pay tax.
Another thing, Erie's sitting on one of the biggest deposits of oil within 200-300 miles. Erie is sitting on it.
I was supposed to ask you about a question.
Oh, what?
Well, I can't say it on the air, but it's a Jed Clampett story about you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Somebody, you also didn't pay your, we'll talk off the air.
No, I did pay. I paid big time.
No, you haven't paid your circus tax.
Circus tax?
Yeah, I heard you put on a performance when you were a kid.
Oh, did I ever?
The flying Stemka?
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys remember me.
I'm not going to tell you who told me these things. But, no, you're right about the fuel and everything.
Yeah, Erie's sitting on one dynamite big deposit. I know. High quality oil in the city, in Erie County.
Yeah, I got.
Now, when it hits $100 a barrel, the city school district in the city should have been pumping the oil out of the ground. Like I said, it's the best oil on the planet. I know, I have some.
I heard somebody that saw a sample of yours.
And like I said, Erie could be making, when it was $100 a barrel, and some of these wells are pretty deep, 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and go a little deeper, you hit the water, all the oil you want.
Why aren't they doing it?
Because we ain't got too many smart people on county council and city council know about it.
Yeah, but you can't.
I can say that.
Isn't it on your property? Some of that stuff. So the city can't take yours.
Can't touch it.
Okay, so what are they going to do? Drill the parks?
What I'm saying, what the city could do, if look at the school districts. They put wells in. They must have.
They ran
dry. But if you go down deeper, you might hit a big deposit of oil. In 1979, Mansana took a study of Erie County.
I guess Ron, it comes down to nobody's ever approached them, about doing it.
Well, I think that would be the smartest move. When it was $100 a barrel, like up at Tech, they could have put them up there, and the school district you guys would be fighting where to put the money.
Isn't drilling oil speculative too, though?
It's speculative, but the Mansana, like I said, 1978, they took a study of Erie County, 85 to 98% hitting gas in the city.
The thing is, before a school district would do it,
They're down deep. They already set up to go deep.
I can tell you with the gas wall, when I took over as controller, that was about the time that I think Tech and the zoo were probably tapping the same vein.
Yeah, the same vein.
And because when I left the school board, our wells were drying up slowly.
But they have a new technique to bring those back to life.
Well, like most things, Ron, back when they first proposed it, it was
People didn't know about it, though.
No, it was a big issue then when they first started, when they had our vehicle. In fact, some of the vehicles, I think, were running on natural.
Yeah. There was a guy on Zook Road. He had a gas well.
But I think the school board right now is a little shaky because of,
Financial department right now.
So, I mean, if somebody would come and tell them, say, hey, this is a good deal, and if You'd have to justify, because if you fail, you're leaving your basic mission.
But there is, I know. I've been doing it for 35 years.
But then you get the, like in the case of the city, I don't know how much land we got, okay? You know, that's...
As long as you got a permit and the land has a permit to drill, the mineral rights, you can dig. And
Some
ain't too
areas
many
we do.
people don't have it.
I don't think people would want us drilling in Frontier or places like that.
Well,
But then
like
again,
I said, you'd have
it's
to
never
see.
been, here's what I can tell you, it's never been proposed,
Right.
and no one has brought it up to us. And I'm not a geologist, okay?
Right.
Go ahead, caller.
Are you talking about gas wells?
No, he's talking about oil now.
Well, he was talking about gas.
Yeah, he was talking about them actually both, but he said,
Oil is so low now.
I know, it's down to nothing.
Yeah, it's about
Well,
$32 a barrel.
Yeah, but when
now,
it was $100 a barrel, what, 6 months ago, if that?
It was about $100 a barrel, probably 9 months ago.
Okay, now if you pulled out and you were pumping and you're getting that oil at $100 a barrel, that would have been fantastic, wouldn't it? The city been sitting on top of a gold mine.
That's why all these companies are laying off employees now. We have so much abundance of it. But the natural gas,
yeah,
there's a gentleman on 38th and State Street that drilled a gas well.
I know
Recently?
that. No, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, 38th and State.
On the southwest corner.
Right next to an old councilman's home.
I gotta admit, I don't know the rules. Did we change the rules a while back about drilling?
Well, you tried to, but this
didn't do
gentleman
it.
got his permit, and he hit a nice gas well.
But you can't do it now, is that it?
Oh, I think you can. You get the permits.
Do you know how much it costs for a well?
Oh, well, depends how deep you're going.
Let's say
If you're
just
going
1,000
into
feet.
Riskety
Let's say
and
1,000
various
feet.
Areas. See, the high pressure stuff's down about
7,200 feet.
3,000 feet.
How much is it then?
So I would venture to say probably $10,000 or $15,000 to drill a well.
27,000. That woman you're talking about on State Street. I was coming home from work and I see a rig there. I'm going, okay. So I pulled out front, and it was this guy who was no good. I thought maybe he changed his ways doing gas wells. So a month went by, I knocked on the door. I said, I just came to see how you made out with your well. She said, do you have time for a cup of coffee? So I went inside, talked to her. She started crying. She said, here I thought this guy was, reputable and everything. And one day I came home early and there was a bunch of pipes he was taking back out. Well, see, in around Erie, you got to go down a minimum of 200 feet. You're out of the water table, okay? A 9-inch pipe, then you go 3-inch, and you cement it all the way around. Well, this guy told her he went down 200 feet, and he went down 1,100 feet. Well, he only went down 100 feet with the 9-inch pipe. Then he said he went down 1,200. He only went down 800, and it's $27,000. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll check it out and I'll get back. Well, my son in Texas. I said, the laws in Texas are a lot different than in Pennsylvania. So I don't know how she made out now, but it was $27,000.
Yeah, sometimes you're lucky and you hit that shallow pocket, but the good gas is down about 1,000 feet or more.
At least 1,000 minimum.
Oh, yes. But you go by there on occasions, you can smell the leakage of the gas fumes, too.
From her house there?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to stop. Well, you know that one on 38th and Old French Road, that apartment house, that complex there?
Yeah.
Okay, he dug his shortly after they did mine. And he's had that well since 1980, and it's been heating that whole complex.
Well, the Paris Dry Cleaners up there off of Pine Avenue, he's had a natural gas well there for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And it's still doing great.
I think they found one, well, when they did Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
There was, the gas station had one.
Yeah, they
But
sure did.
There was a problem though, because when they were building Hortons, they had to deal with that.
Where was it located at?
Have you gone by
I'm not sure it was on the property, I think.
and he's done down there?
Pardon?
The new car wash.
I haven't been in there, have you?
Have you gone by the exterior and looked at the exterior?
It looks nice.
did a wonderful job. I'll say that much for him.
That and that other one that's up the street more, too.
Yes, he's finally got some electricity. He finally got the utility company to come down and hang a transformer.
Well, they've been messing with that for over a week, the electric, and they got a dozen people out there doing different things out there now.
Which one's that? The other?
Over by the club there on 38th Street.
When they rebuilt the old car wash. But years ago when I was working for that outfit, they'd have that all taken care of in 3 days. Now I guess you gotta get on your hands and knees to have the work schedule.
Yeah, it's not the same anymore.
I was talking to some of the old fishermen that go out to the second trench and stuff. They said, how come Erie and Pennsylvania, they don't have wells? He said, you get to past the second trench, you'll see the Canadians, they're pumping the hell out of it up there.
They've been doing that for years.
Right. And how come Pennsylvania? That's a nice asset,
We're out on the lake, you mean?
On the lake, yeah. That's for the second trench, about 4 or 5 miles out.
Yeah, they've got gas wells galore over there. It's the same thing with Niagara Falls and down there at Kinzoo. Why don't we tap that electricity to power? Because the federal government won't let you do it. Have a great day.
Well, heck, we can't even put windmills out in the water.
Yeah, but the windmills, I think the windmills that they have, a cousin of mine made a windmill, okay? It's only 40 foot high. 40 foot high. It's not a propeller, it's a twister.
They got them over at Cleveland, though. Go ahead, caller.
Hey there, Cass. I haven't heard you mention the fact that under Lake Erie is all that salt mining, too, going on.
Underneath, yeah.
It's part of under Erie here, so you can't drill down through it, or salt mining.
Yeah, but don't the Canadians have salt mines?
Well, they don't have as much as we do. All your Morton salt, and that comes out of Buffalo and Cleveland area. This is all where the rock salts come out. All that mining from the Cleveland area is in rock salt.
They do it under the water, right?
Well, it's underneath. There's several miles of underground railroad where they're mining all that salt. The one reason you can't probably drill like that in the lake here is like they found out over in Europe. They decided to do an oil drill in one of the lakes, but it was right through a salt area. They hit the cavity where it was hollow, where they had salt, drained the whole lake right down into the salt mine.
Ooh.
So there are risks, I guess. I don't know what our government considers, what would be drillable up in this area.
How far do salt mines go out into the lake?
Pardon?
How far do they go out?
What, for salt mining?
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's almost right across the lake.
I mean, they go almost all across the whole width?
It's about, I understand it's like maybe 50, 60 miles of roadway under the lake. Salt mining. You'd have to check that out more, but I've been told that there's a lot of salt mines underneath there. They come up not shy of Buffalo area, where I guess they go under. The other thing, too, remember the school district, they put that gas well up there by Central.
Right.
And they found out that they didn't have enough gas pressure in that well. So that's another problem you might run into.
Well, they did for a long time. In fact, the zoo was using that gas for years.
Yeah.
And then I think they both kind of drained it, because when I took over here as controller, the reports were coming in that there was less, their expenses were going up and up, the zoo.
Yeah, I don't know
because they weren't getting the return on the gas well.
I don't know how much of that gas well, depending on, I guess, who drilled it, but somehow National Fuel seemed to be able to tack on some kind of they attach it as part of their resources,
Well, there was a house built up by 7 corners up there. A guy built a house, he dug a gas well, and the gas company, that's where they had the reserves up there, okay? And then the gas company said, hey, you got that high volume, you need our reservoirs of gas. He said, well, how can I tell it's not my own? He said, we'll put some dye into the gas, and when you're running the gas, you'll be able to see the different color. So he said it'd take a couple weeks for that to come through. So they let go. 2 months went by, 3 months, 6 months went by.
No dye?
No dye. It's his well. He's holding like 600 pounds of pressure.
So they can't come after that.
They can't come after him.
Other thing, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but out in Oklahoma, they're talking about all the frack blasting for the natural gas in that,
Right.
Creating the high intensity of earthquakes they're having out there lately. They've increased substantial number of earthquakes.
Yeah, you stop and think, you're taking that liquid out of the ground, out of the earth, and you're leaving a shallow hole because that liquid's got to come out, and then you got like a big valley of nothing. There's no oil in it, So like you say, I think it's causing more problems than it will down the road.
See, I know about the underground salt mine because when we've had some of those real mild earthquakes, I heard about them evacuating them because they have some kind of alarm system set up down there to alert people to evacuate the underground salt mine in case of the earthquake, causing problems there. I don't know what kind of problem they create, but yeah, your Morton salt and some of the road salts that we use all come from that area.
Now, Erie's sitting right on an earthquake fault, aren't we?
Yes, well, we're right alongside one. Yeah, it goes up through like Sandusky area.
Right.
Yeah, the blue hole and that might be part of it. They don't know for sure. Up in that area, that when I lived in Ohio for that short while there's a lot of underground possibility of water in that ground fractured area. And they say the blue hole in Sandusky is connected to a Seneca Cavern that's about 60 miles inland, and so there's quite a substantial break in the surface there, underground surface there.
There's a lot of things that people don't know. They have to investigate.
Out east, they're pumping the garbage from the, what was that storm out there?
What storm?
The one that hit the East Coast? Sandy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're filling up old tunnels with the...
Garbage.
Yeah, and with the silt and everything. Packing them tight.
Well, I read something on the internet that they're doing something with sand. And when they get this processing done, oil is going to be obsolete. There's a new process coming out.
What, they extract oil out of the sand?
They say they're doing something with sand. It's supposed to last longer and cheaper. And the oil companies don't want no one to hear about it.
Hey, Kaz, did you pay attention to the radio station this morning?
No, I didn't get up early enough to listen to it. What happened?
Oh, there's one caller, he's got me kind of intrigued here, that called saying that in Mill Creek, I guess the school system there is trying to teach kids Islam. And I'm thinking, isn't that a religious idea? And if we can't teach Christianity, how can they get by teaching Islam?
Are they teaching the language or the culture?
Don't know if like they're even teaching the kids, I guess, prayer or something in Islam. So I had me puzzled. I don't know if there's facts to that or not. That's what I'm not sure.
Teaching a language is not a bad idea because, they're teaching Chinese and stuff because that's the world we live in now,
Right.
But culture, man, I tell you, I'm sorry. I know in other states and other cities that's been an issue, and they've been,
From what studies I've done, one of the things that the Muslim faith line wants to do, and I'm saying only because I guess I can't substantiate it, but I've studied it enough to know that one of their thought patterns is to infiltrate various countries so they become the most number of people in the country. And when they do, then they can begin to take over the governmental bodies and then create an Islamic state in which now you have the Sharia law will take effect.
Well, I think you're seeing that. What you're seeing now in America is that we've gotten into a state of political correctness where.
Yeah, I know, and
stores are afraid.
Even Germany right now is concerned about it.
You had people paranoid during the holiday.
Well, Germany, they hired violent people, and they figured, well, we got an influx of labor, all skilled laborers, and everything. Now they're finding out it wasn't that good idea letting these people in.
Well,
I don't. I appreciate the immigration, just like when my family immigrated here from Europe to find a better lifestyle, and if that's what they're coming here, but we became American. We didn't bring Poland over here to made it into a state of Poland here. We joined and became Americans. And that's what, if they do that, then hey, great, welcome here, But if you're going to try to change this into what you just left, I don't know if I'd want that.
Well, what I get afraid of is when we get to the holiday of Christmas and everybody's afraid to say the word anymore.
Right.
And
no, I have no fear in that.
If you're right about what's going on in schools, I mean, you're right. We can't even. When I was a kid, we studied cultures, but now it's like they've shut out certain cultures and they're like on pins and needles. I just don't understand. What's going on.
I wonder how much it costs a school district of Erie to have all these influx of foreigners coming in here. There was 10,000 came in, and kids are coming over here.
Well, you have no choice.
And they have to be taught, so you have to get interpreters. Then you got to, get them into our culture. That's a big implant. 10,000 people.
Here's what bugged me. You still there, Doc? Here's what bugged me when I was on the school board. We had to hire the Institute for Interpretive Services.
Correct.
Okay? I wish the heck we could have taken the people that came here, and like they did in the old days was, you check them out and you have them do interpretive services for you, save money. Maybe you give them a stipend, which is a lot less than what you're paying the Institute. But yeah, it creates it like even in here, if we arrest someone, you got to have interpretive services. We have some employees that are cross-trained in different languages, but yeah, the whole thing is you're asking how much it costs a school district. Well, you have no choice because once they come here,
Yeah, you got to accept them and put it into the program.
And when you're talking about the ESL program and yeah, that's where people don't understand this. The school district is mandated to do that, but the state isn't mandated to fund them. So, what the state considers fair funding, what would you think full funding means?
Well, whatever it costs to pay for it,
100%, right?
100%.
State considers 50 full funding, but you're lucky if you get 35. Okay, so do the math. Who do you think picks up the rest?
How much did the state kick back to the city school board? Now they got some money back.
You're talking about what?
The money just now allocated to the school districts.
I don't know what they got exactly, but some of it is what they call the funding formula, which is based on so much per student. The state sets that number.
And like I said, they are talking about 300-400 phones that the school board pays for. Why should they be paying for
They
it?
pay what?
For the cell phones. You hear that one?
Oh, for the school, for the people who work at the school district?
Yes.
Well, when I was there, we had certain people had cell phones.
Like the principal, assistant principal.
Yeah,
so on, people like that.
But we had a formula when I was there. And I will tell you, straight out, school directors had a phone too. Okay? Because you got tons of calls all the time. The difference was there was a formula that was decided on. That since the phone was in your possession and could be used for personal business.
Right.
There was a fee that they agreed upon, a percentage of usage fee. So if it costs, let's say, just use a round figure. If it costs them $20 a month,
right,
you were going to pay, 10, 12 of that, okay?
Right.
But I don't know if they're still doing that.
I heard they are. But anyway, another thing, I heard a couple of teachers, they retired on a Friday, came back to work on Monday.
Well, that's not a secret.
But still, if you retired, they shouldn't be hired back because a lot of young kids out there are looking for jobs.
First of all, what they did was they brought them back as consultants.
Like GE did.
Yeah, now the problem was when you retire, when my wife retired, you signed there that you cannot come back. You can come back as a substitute, okay? Because a substitute doesn't get a pension or anything like that.
Well, does the pension pick up again?
Well, that was the question I think
That's the question
the
he's
Auditor
asking.
General had, okay? In other words, he's saying, once you leave,
You're done, your pension.
you're supposed to be done, or if you come back, you're supposed to pay into the pension fund. But if you're on pension, you can't do that, obviously.
Right, you can't double dip.
I think there were questions, okay? That's what he was asking. I can't answer them for you because I'm not there, okay? But I will tell you this, that if a teacher comes back, they can come back as a substitute, okay, on what they call a per diem basis.
Per diem, right.
Because they're not paying into the pension fund. It doesn't affect their pension. They're done. They're just there for contracted services because they're short teachers.
Right.
Okay, you can do that.
Like I
But
said,
some of these people, I understand, were getting, jobs with partial benefits and everything.
Oh, yeah, like I said, that's double dipping as far as I'm concerned.
Well, where was the state on this?
Hey, Chaz, I'll
should've-
call you back later.
Hey, thanks, Doc. Where was the state on all this? They're always late a dime short, too. And that's their program they're supposed to be monitoring.
Now, how much extra does the the city asking for in new funding, money-wise?
You mean
How
the
much-
school district?
The school district. How much more do they need to do what they have to do?
I don't think they even got their funding money yet. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz. The bicycle shooter case of Derry Sanders, which was just a tragedy.
You mean where that young man got killed?
Yeah.
Right.
He wanted to go. He wanted to try it as a
Juvenile.
younger like here.
You were cutting off, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he wanted try it as a juvenile.
Right.
He never told the police or probably his lawyer where he got the gun or what he did with the gun. Now, if he's not cooperating, why should the courts cooperate with him?
Didn't they? They're trying him as a
Adult,
Yeah,
they-
adult now.
yeah.
Well, I agree with you on
Already
that.
done. That's right.
Yeah, if you're, if you're a kid and you make a mistake, well, then you should be willing
But this kid was-
to tell everything.
Yeah, but this kid was continuously in trouble.
Well,
It wasn't like this first
I agree,
time.
I agree with you, but I agree with what this gentleman's saying, that if you want to be treated as a kid, well then, tell where you got the gun and everything.
He's not.
You made a mistake, tell them.
As far as we know, that gun is still on the streets.
It could be. I mean, the police do a good job of getting a lot of them back, but hey, they'd be the first one to tell you that, they're out there.
Yep.
Hey, I would bet, I shouldn't say I'd bet, but I would wager that that's a stolen gun from somebody's house.
You know what they do now? This is what I heard they do in big cities. They have a community gun where they hide it in one central location and everybody uses it.
Wow, that's
Back.
so. There's all kinds of fingerprints and everything on it.
Well, yeah, how stupid that is. Then if if that gun comes up and they could trace the bullet.
Well, it scared the heck out of me when you look at that case, and then you watch the things that are going on TV where that happened the other night, where I think it was in what town was it in? Philadelphia. They walked right up to the police officer
He started shooting.
and popped about 3 or 4 rounds on
3
him.
or 4, I think it was 13 altogether.
Yeah,
You're point blank and you only hit him twice.
I don't think that scares the heck out of me.
Well, you better have a gun in your car. That's all I got to say.
But I feel bad. That young man had his whole future ahead of him.
And it looked like a good future, too.
Why, he wanted to be in the military and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was Chicago or New York back in the day, probably early 1800s. The Irish were a problem. Okay? So I think it was New York City, because there was probably a lot of Irish in New York City at the time. They hired the toughest Irishmen as police officers to control their own. And I think that's what we got to do now. Hey, we got to get minorities to take control of this city. That's what we got to do.
Well, I think that's a hope that
What was going on here? They sent him out of town about this, how this one city took care of the problem.
That's a Kansas City stuff.
Kansas City. Now, how come everybody's on the upright about this? I didn't catch the details on this.
I didn't either. Go ahead.
Did you hear about
want
this?
to comment, sir?
Well, yeah, that Kansas thing. they're saying they're like racially profiling people.
That's the problem. Okay.
That's their excuse why they don't like it.
Okay.
But it looks like it's getting results there, right?
As far as I heard, yeah, we got to do something, Cass. There's shootings every 3-4 days now.
Yeah, you know, what I found hard to believe was, I mean, they sent a pretty good committee there. You know, they had the chief of police. We had one of our councilmen there. They had various people in community. And I think we got to start looking at what other communities are doing. But, you know, and because it's not solving itself, that's for dang sure.
The problem we have in the city of Erie, there's no jobs and these kids don't have nothing to do.
Yeah, but wait,
Another thing, all the foreigner kid comes here and you got a black and a white kid and they're born here in Erie. You think those two kids gonna get a job? No, the foreigners gonna get the job before these two kids did. And that's why the problem. There's no jobs in the city, and especially the stupid county council. They're spending money like water, and what they gotta do is go out and get jobs. You can't just go to Harrisburg or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. You gotta go out west and try and bring the people here.
Sir, you about my age?
That's old.
Hello? You must be off the air. Hey, during the Great Depression, right?
That's before your time and my
Yeah,
time.
but from what I read history,
Okay.
were they popping people off?
No.
Why?
They had jobs.
No, not during the Depression.
No, not to they didn't have jobs, but in Erie.
Yeah, but what is changing our culture? What is changing our culture? I mean, that's the question you got to ask. Look, everybody wants jobs. Okay, that's a problem that council can't solve, the mayor can't solve. We can try to solve it, but that's an issue on a larger level. You brought it up earlier, okay? And you know the issues that are out there, okay? You know, these companies are using those issues as hostage. Okay, it's no secret why they hire. Hey, you're not going to work. The average American is not going to work
For $10 an hour.
right. And when these people come here, and they want to work hard, and I know a lot of them.
Right.
They're willing to work hard for less than we're going to do, and they go out to the plastics plant. Because my wife worked at a plastics plant. They're not the panacea.
No, these guys, all these foreigners are. Some of them.
My wife
was
was lifting hot plastic out with no gloves.
Oh, I know that. I remember. I worked in one for a while.
Go ahead, caller.
I know you only have a couple minutes, but I just want to say my son works for less than $10 an hour.
Well, I know, but he's not happy with it, right?
No, but he's been working like that. He had to raise a family. You got to do something now, don't you?
That's what I'm saying. My point to Ronnie was, like during the height of the Great Depression, people weren't killing each other. You know, they worked for what they
took
could.
care of everybody.
Yeah, but I'm saying
On 18th Street,
I don't want to
the
hear.
Italians took care of everybody.
Like this lady says, I don't want to hear somebody say, "Look, maybe you can't find a job you want."
Yeah.
But before I was here, and before I became controller, I worked for a place that didn't pay an awful lot. Yeah. I was working 2 and 3 jobs.
Well, my son is 50-some years old, raising a family on less than $10 an hour. So these kids just don't want to work.
Right. God bless them.
They get too much surplus food.
That's why I get
they got the babies.
You know, when they talk about the immigrants are coming here and stealing jobs, why? If you want those jobs, they're there. You know, the immigrants and some of the people like your son that are taking those jobs are doing it because they don't want the other alternative, which is to sit at home. You know, and God bless your son. Are you still there, ma'am? But, you know, God bless her son for doing that. So I'm saying, you know, it's one thing to make excuses, but
see, me and you were the same age, 67 years old, okay? When we were growing up, the opportunities were plentiful in Erie. You can get a job anywhere in here and making damn good money.
Yeah, but you know what? Go back a few years when my dad came out of the war and there wasn't a lot of jobs. Okay, it hadn't shaken down yet.
Well, they started building homes.
Well, but
like
I mean, your economy was grinding down from the war economy.
Right.
Okay, there was a lull period in there where my dad took a job that didn't pay an awful lot. I'll tell you what it was. He became a police officer. Didn't pay an awful lot.
Back then, how about now?
Yeah, but when he took the job, he was working in a in the industry, but getting laid off. The industries were shutting down. They weren't making, military goods. They were transitioning into the new economy. So my dad took a job, didn't pay an awful lot. Could have made more in the factory, if he was full-time. So, people have always struggled. But to make an excuse and say, well, because I can't get a job, I'm going to pop you off. No, that's not the way it works. That's what's happening today. But the immigrants are coming here, they're taking jobs that some people don't want to take. Other people are taking them, but you go to a Walmart and look at some of the people that are working there that should be home retired though.
Oh yeah, a lot of them people. There's guys 90 years old, a greeter at Walmart, 90 years old, just to make ends meet.
So if you want to work, I see people all the time. I see people working, McDonald's is just,
So like I said, we got to do something with the city. I hate to see the next mayor. He's better get a little bit different than we have now.
But, hey, take care of your neighbors, take care of yourself.
That's exactly right.
But, just to go around and say, I got it bad, so I'm going to make it bad for you.
No, we got to work together. Like I said, I grew up on 18th Street. We were poor, but no one told us about it. But I tell you what,
there's a big difference.
And everybody took care of everybody.
But when you ask that question about Kansas City, I don't know the answer. They never really covered it on the news as to.
Like I said,
I'd like to hear what the objections were, but to just say
been something if all these people came here.
Yeah, but let's sit down and talk about it, because you know what? Nobody says you have to completely copy the plan.
Right.
But there must be things in there that are, we got to go out there and figure out what's wrong.
But this governor doesn't try to get work into Pennsylvania. No, might have to go with like Texas has, the right to work state. We might have to go that route.
But then again, a lot of people say,
Wisconsin.
in the old days, the companies had to hire within the United States too.
No, it's different.
And we've allowed them to.
I'm making a Chevy now. Beautiful company. I'm thinking I'm buying a new car. Now they changed it. 5 years, 100,000 miles on the drivetrain, okay? Now it's 5 years, 60,000. That's 40,000. If someone's going to keep that car for 5 or 6 years, the drivetrain's going to be out in no time with 60,000 miles. Am I right?
Yep.
Must be making junk, and they're bringing the car from China, completely made in China, a Chevy.
That's scary.
People don't care about buying them, don't care where it was made.
Price
is the name. All right, we're almost done here, people.
Yeah, I think we are. So, Ronnie, you didn't do bad today.
Well, we got going. It went fast. Wish more people would call in with some of their problems, because we have a lot of problems.
Well, let's hope. Next week's another show.
Another show. Just call in. Have a beautiful week. Well,
I still got this cough a little bit.
I take that Alka-Seltzer Flex capsules. You take those?
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.
Mine was worse than yours.